Star vs. the Forces of Evil, a popular animated series from Disney that ran from 2015 to 2019, and was initially a smash hit for the company that was beloved by millions. Until it wasn't. What originally started off as a fun, episodic series eventually gave way to a story-driven narrative that would run for a total of 4 seasons. For me, I did not really watch the show at all during its airing, so it's a bit of a mystery to me. But for my friends, they loved it. But when they saw the finale in May of 2019, something went wrong. I've seen angry fans before. As a matter of fact, I've been an angry fan before. But the amount of backlash I saw for the finale of Star Vs. was truly something else. And was, from what I could tell as an outside observer, a complete fall from grace and a total disappointment. One friend of mine said that the series was in his top 5 of all time, but after he watched the finale, he said he would not even recommend the show to anyone. That the conclusion was that much of a letdown, and retroactively destroyed his love for the series. Good God, I wondered, what happened? Again, I never really watched the show, and by some miracle, I was never spoiled either. But now that the dust has settled, I decided to take my unique position and watch the entire series from start to finish, to see why Star Vs. Was worth the initial hype and praise, and to see if this finale was as catastrophic as people made it out to be. Now, it's entirely possible that emotions were running high for the finale, and that viewers who watched it at the time of its airing were too harsh on it, that it was not nearly as bad as fans made it out to be. But then again, perhaps it was. And if that is the case, what exactly happened to make people so angry? And who is responsible for said decisions? The writers? The executives at Disney? Both? Steven Universe, for example, had a rushed finale due to Cartoon Network abruptly concluding the series. Is that the same case for Star Vs. And Disney? Or is the outcome of the series squarely on the shoulders of the people who made it? Well, let's find out what presumably ruined Star vs. the Forces of Evil. From what I've been told, apparently shipping has something to do with it. Seriously, Star might be one of the thirstiest characters to ever appear on Disney.
You gotta keep me away from boys! Wait a second, Marco's a boy.
You want to know what Star should be thirsting for? Why, this video's sponsor, Liquid IV. Yeah, gotcha. So, I'm not sure about y'all, but I can already feel that warm weather approaching in my neck of the woods. Spring is about to sprung. And for me, I tried to bike or run every day, and Liquid IV has been a game changer in that arena for me. For those who don't know, Liquid IV is a great tasting electrolyte drink mix that is a tasty and fantastic hydration multiplier. Just one packet hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It also has 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks, and are made with clean ingredients that are packed with 5 essential vitamins: vitamin C, B3, B5, B6, and B12.
You sunk my battleship.
I'm sorry, I had to make the joke. I fill up my water bottle, toss in a packet, and boom! Hydration time, which is good because I'm often not hydrating enough. So click the link in my description box down below, or use my code Saberspark for 20% off, plus free shipping on your next Liquid IV order. Go hit them up today. Gonna use that hydration multiplied water and just dump it on Star's head. No, for real, girl, chill out.
When Yami got the brilliant idea to light it on fire.
How was I supposed to know that fire makes it stronger?
Wow, Marco.
Star vs. the Forces of Evil was created by Darren Nefsey and was unsurprisingly inspired by Sailor Moon, the OG magical girl herself. Originally, the concept was supposed to be about a little girl who pretended to be magical, yet despite having no magic, was still able to overcome challenges by being resourceful and determined. Darren pitched her show around to multiple networks, such as Cartoon Network, but the series would eventually get picked up by Disney, though some changes were made to the premise. Instead of having no magic, Star got all the magic, and also is now a 14-year-old girl instead of a 4th grader. According to Darren, developing the core concept of the show took around 6 years. but it finally coalesced and was greenlit for Disney XD and eventually Disney Channel. Other inspirations for the series include Tezuka's Unico, Dragon Ball Z, Scott Pilgrim, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Darren had a drive to create a strong female lead with Star, and is on record saying, quote, "I looked at TV over the years, and I've had to go to Japan when I was younger to find the cartoons that had the characters that I wanted to see. It was always a question of, well, why isn't that on TV in the US?" End quote. No doubt, it goes without saying that anime had a massive impact on influencing Western animation as of late. Kids who grew up with anime in the 90s and 2000s are now adults making shows. And the inspiration of anime can be plainly seen in Steven Universe, Teen Titans, Avatar, and of course, Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Like, it's really cool to see how anime has shaped the world of animation, and will, most likely, continue to do so. I mean, hell, there's even an anime sequence in The Amazing World of Gumball, and quite frankly, it's incredible. The premise for the show itself, which I'm going to keep short here since I'm going to go more into detail about it here in a bit, well, it follows Star Butterfly, a 14-year-old princess from the kingdom of Muni, who inherited a magical wand from her queen mother. But Star is kind of a brat who is reckless with her power. As punishment for her actions, she is sent through a portal to Earth, where she is a foreign exchange student and lives with a teenage boy named Marco and his family. The two then get into all kinds of hijinks and trouble that range from screwing up at school to fighting interdimensional monsters who are trying to steal Star's wand.
Soon, the wand will be mine, and then the universe, and then... Actually, the universe should do it.
The show followed an 11-minute format with 2 stories per episode, though there are, of course, some exceptions later on with full-on 22-minute episodes. Season 1 itself was mainly episodic, with a loosely connected story that did not take itself too seriously, and relied more on the comedic shenanigans of Star, Marco, and a wacky cast of side characters that, might I add, have wonderful voice acting. Eden Shear as Star, Adam MacArthur as Marco, Jenny Slate as Ponyhead, not you. And then a bunch of veteran voice actors from the industry, like Grey DeLisle, John DiMaggio, and Jeff Bennett. Though I gotta give a big shout out to Alan here. This guy is a voice acting machine and was the voice of Ludo and King River. Though whenever I hear King River talk, it makes me think about Clayface from the Harley Quinn show, and I get the two mixed up.
We're sending you to train in a safer dimension. A place called Earth. Oh my God, it's Lady Gaga!
In January of 2015, the series made its official debut and broke records for Disney XD, with 1.2 million people watching the premiere. That was a network milestone that would never be surpassed. Season 1 would go on to be a huge hit for Disney, and was both a critical and financial success. And the best part of all? That was just Season 1 of what would become 4, as this cute comedy would go on to explore its world, its characters, and an overarching story that was rooted in mystery and intrigue. Now, the 2010s were full of cartoons that followed this format. And of course, I blame Adventure Time for doing this. Start off simple, silly, episodic, but sprinkle in plot points and mysteries that would eventually transform into a story-driven series. Gravity Falls did this, Steven Universe, hell, even Regular Show. But just because an episodic series can pivot over to a story-driven narrative doesn't always mean it can stick the landing. If anything, there's more at stake. And if you can't conclude things in a satisfying way, it can tank the series. As Star Vs., unfortunately, was about to find out.
I love puppies!
As I stated at the start of this video, I said that I never really watched Star vs. the Forces of Evil, which is the case. I only watched 3 episodes from the first season, that was it. I guess you could say I was familiar with Star vs., but then fell off as the show went on, so I'm virtually in the dark with whatever happened to the series. All I know is that people and my friends were mad. Like, very mad with the conclusion of the show, saying that the finale robbed them of their love for the series. Yeah, that is quite the declaration and quite the criticism. But hey, I've seen it happen before, lest we forget about the finale of Game of Thrones, which aired like a month before the finale of Star.
Oh no, this is much worse.
Boy, if you were a fan of both of these series, then 2019 was a rough year for you. But hey, at least you had Star Wars Rise of Skywalker to look forward to. But for now, I'm going to run down each season of Starverses and share my impressions and thoughts. Again, I have the luxury of having lower expectations going into this show. Plus, I'm not really a super fan. I enjoy it, but I'm not a mega fan. I'm looking at you, Reddit. Perhaps my perspective will yield a different opinion on a finale that was possibly overhyped. Well, strap in, you're about to find out. Season 1. Star is sent to Earth to live with Marco and his family as a foreign exchange student. Star's magic gets her and Marco into all kinds of crazy situations, but each episode typically ends with a satisfying conclusion with few strings attached, though continuity was definitely being built up in the background. Tom the Demon being Star's ex-boyfriend, Marco pining over Jackie Lynn, Glossaric and the Book of Magic. But the real story starts to pick up steam with a character named Toffee, a cold and calculating monster who teams up with the goofy and inept Ludo, the nemesis of Star Butterfly who's trying to get her wand. Season 1 ends with Star's wand being sacrificed to save Marco's life.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
Season 1 was well-written, gorgeously animated, had a creative premise, and a dynamic cast of characters that played well off of each other. The loosely connected story did not take itself too seriously, and was a fantastic canvas for inventive fantasy world-building. The show was refreshing for how it was so character-driven, though it clearly had a story to tell. But it wasn't too bogged down in melodrama, allowing humor to paint things in a sillier light rather than commit to a strict sense of good and evil. Until Toffee arrived. Star herself felt like she had a more juvenile moral compass, and the show painted with that kind of brush. It was quaint, fun, and overall just enjoyable, with a cliffhanger that left me hungry for more. Season 2. Season 2 saw an increase in episodes from 13 to 22, and definitely took that time to build up stakes and tension for the series while not completely losing sight of its fun filler episodes. Star now had half a new wand, and is being trained by a being of magic called Glossaric, who resides in the Butterfly family's Book of Magic. Glossaric here gives me Q vibes from Star Trek, and seems to be more of a trickster trying to prove a point if anything. We also get to see new characters like Kelly, Jana, and Mina Loveberry, who looks a lot like Sailor Moon and would play, to the disappointment of many, a very important role in the finale of the show. We'll get there when we get there. There was more world building in Muni, the Butterfly family lore, and just magic overall, with even a magic high commission featuring beings that could control portals in space and time. Ludo himself was banished at the end of Season 1, and went on a journey of self-discovery and healing, only to end up with the other half of the wand and Glossaric as his teacher due to a portal that stole him away and the book from Star. Because Ludo had the book, Glossaric had to listen to him and teach him about magic. Miss Heinous, who I forgot to mention in Season 1, is still kicking around as a villain antagonist for Marco, which I never really thought much of, except why is she still around? Who cares? Though I was confused though about the cheeks. Why does she have those marks on her cheek? What does it mean? And I was onto something that would later be proven, but also I was disappointed with how much it had nothing to do with what I thought it was. It's complicated, we'll get to it here in a bit. We discover that Star's spells are actually alive and live on the wand, and they have personalities and families, which I thought was super cute, and there was no way that would ever become a soul-crushing discovery later on.
Foreshadowing is a literary device in which...
And of course, there was more shipping and relationship stuff with Star and Marco and Jackie and whatnot. But the big reveal, though, was Toffee possessing Ludo's body and defeating the magical High Commission and Queen Butterfly, leading to Star having to retreat from Earth. But not before telling Marco that she had a crush on him. Right in front of Marco's girlfriend, too.
I do have a crush on you. Who called it? I called it. Boom!
Season 2 definitely won me over with its story. And I was totally fine with the tone shifting from episodic comedies to a story-driven action comedy drama. I was brainstorming outcomes and scenarios and motives and, dare say, fan theories. Just wondering, is Star's mom behind this? Is she a bad guy? Is she in cahoots with Toffee? What's going on? I'm sure it's something grand and amazing. Needless to say, I was very hungry for more, and so began Season 3. Well, this is where cracks in the dam began to take form. But there's more than enough substance, mystery, and quality to hold my attention. By the way, I know about the TV movie stuff with like the Battle of Beauty. I'm just gonna roll with how I saw it on Disney+, so, just keep that into account. So we find out that Toffee was the one who killed Moon's mother back in the day. That Moon herself used dark magic from an imprisoned previous queen of Muni named Eclipsa to defeat Toffee. But now Toffee is back and is possessing Ludo's body. Ludo gets to rule Muni for a hot minute, but then Star uses something called the Whispering Spell to enter the realm of magic. There, she confronts Toffee, who is corrupting the magic of the realm. Toffee is revived via Moon in exchange for Star's life, and then Toffee tosses Ludo to the side and begins to wreak havoc on Muni. Star then leaves the realm of magic, goes Super Saiyan butterfly form, and just straight up kills Toffee with Ludo's help. Though I guess you can say that Ludo's help was negligible, to say the least. Then begins the story arc of Queen Eclipsa, and a lot of lore and world building that is admittedly interesting, but would be just too much to cover in this video. If you want more detail, go watch Blue Order's video. I'm gonna stay focused here, okay? Let's go. All in all, it is revealed that Queen Eclipsa did a no-no by marrying a monster back in the day. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, monsters are discriminated against in this series. And the citizens of Muni hate them, saying that the monsters caused them problems back in the day, and had to be defeated by the royal family of old time and time again. The story also reveals how this isn't the truth. And a lot of the prejudice against the monsters is due to revisionist history, misunderstandings, and lies by omission. Eclipsa herself is trying to revive her monster husband in suspended animation, and is also reunited with her daughter, Miss Heinous, aka Meteora, who goes into monster form since she's the child of a monster and a human, and then gets blasted by her mother, and then turns into a baby? Yeah, I'm definitely recapping in broad strokes, but I have to, or we'll be here for hours. I will say, though, that the twist that Glossoric's amnesia was just pretend was super frustrating to me and not funny at all. His character went down the drain in Season 3, but there might have been reasons in the production for that were outside the control of the staff, so I can kind of give them a pass on that one. It just sucks, though, because Glossoric, at least to me, was a very important character in Season 1 and Season 2, and then doesn't really do anything in Season 3 or Season 4, so a disappointment. And finally, Season 4. The Kingdom of Muni belongs to Queen Eclipsa since Moon Butterfly stepped down from the throne. There's a build-up about the release of Globgor, Eclipsa's monster husband, who just ends up having a moment hugging his daughter Meteora after a battle, and the folks in the crowd are like, oh, he's good, maybe we're being too harsh on monsters. That's how that's resolved. And of course, as is tradition, more shipping, though not with Star and Marco really. They're not quite syncing up, as Star is dating Tom, and you got Marco dating Kelly and whatnot. And I think that Marco might have had something with Hekapoo. I can't really tell. It doesn't really say, but it definitely implies. By the way, Tom, you were done dirty. You deserve much better. Ultimately, the High Commission of Magic, who is always out to go get Eclipsa, Globgor, and any monsters or monster sympathizers, team up with Mina Loveberry, who activates an army of magical suits that were powered by Moon Butterfly in order to force Eclipsa to abdicate the throne of Muni because things weren't going well for her? Big fight, magical spells, Star and her friends are almost defeated, and then Star is like, no, screw this, I hate magic, this sucks, I'm going to just destroy magic by going to the realm of magic and destroying magic by using magic. At the end, the realm of magic is destroyed, though Star freaks out because that means she might not be able to see Marco again, since he lives on Earth. Prior to the events of destroying magic, these two confess their love to one another, but Star still proceeds with her plan of destroying magic. Both of them end up in the realm of magic, which then implodes, and then their worlds are fused together, even though magic is gone? The two then run up to each other, smile, and then this series is over. Poop. I think I understand now. So yeah, I can say it now. In my and many others' opinion, Star vs. the Forces of Evil was ruined by its finale. Why exactly? Well, for a few reasons. It's really hard to understate just how bizarre the finale to Star really is. So many things are swept under the rug and left unaddressed that it makes what could have been an interesting concept, if given the time to develop, come off like an absolute rug pull. Destroying magic, the fundamental attribute to Star's world and the literal embodiment of multiple characters' lives, is made so immediate and treated with little levity that it defies description. While magic has enabled a lot of evil in the series, I never really got the sense that magic itself was a negative force, since almost everything that the heroes of the series use to solve these problems are also magic in nature, showing that it's a benign force that bends to the intent of those who wield it. It was always prejudice that seemed to be the show's thematic angle, with everything from monsters versus humans, rich versus poor, and the differences between dimensions all reinforcing this theme. But this is never really completely addressed or resolved in any significant degree, as the finale starts chasing this last-second left turn instead. Characters like Hekapoo, who at this point are strong secondary characters, are revealed to be made of magic, and so will die as a result of Star destroying the magic itself. They try to hang a lantern on this, with Hekapoo herself admitting to this and still being cool with the idea. Oh, I never really thought this stuff was all that good to begin with. Girl, you are literally magic. You serve on a commission to govern the proper use of magic. One that includes a person controlling time itself. What do you mean? Why are you so chill with imminent death? Star and Marco are all like, oh, that's a bummer, I'll really miss her. With them being like nonchalant about murdering their friend. No one is fazed by this. This massive ethical dilemma of willingly sacrificing the entire Magic High Commission, who are, by the way, confirmed dead in the episode, along with all the other magical creatures, including all of the critters in Star's wand, which the show went out of its way to take an entire episode to personify. It's never addressed. Glossaric, Star's lifelong tutor, literally shows up to go down with the ship because he's also magic and will die from this, but stops to let Star know that he's proud of her. Proud? Why? You've spent this entire show trying to prepare her to use magic, to be a better wielder of it. But your actual end goal was to have her murder you and countless others? What? Was this just some elaborate suicide attempt? I guess Toffee was right this entire time, since he too wanted to destroy magic.
Surprise!
We also never get any clarification on what is and is not a magical creature. Hekapoo is apparently dead, but Ponyhead, despite being a disembodied floating head, is not only alive after the magic is destroyed, but can still float around? How? The actual ending of the show too, with the worlds fusing, also is presented entirely without explanation. It just happens so that Starco can be the endgame, which is another gigantic issue with this series in general. The incredible amount of attention shipping received in later seasons was an absolute train wreck for the integrity of the series. I don't know if this tone shift was always the intention for the series from the beginning, or if the writers decided to lean more into it after the fandom went nuts over it. But regardless, it got far too much attention and was distracting. Like the first half of the season, where Star and Marco were just clearly friends, was wonderful. It was a better tone. But unfortunately for the series, it became a fan-servicey soap opera, with episodes and plots that took up a lot of the show's runtime. And it was doubly unfortunate, because there were some relationship dynamics and pushing back against tired tropes via Star and Marco and their relationships. Both Star and Marco found relationships outside each other that were arguably more healthy than the bond they ended up in. And the fact that their first relationship failed could have been a nice counterbalance to so many other shows pairing up their main characters by the end. Avatar, I'm looking at you. They started off as friends and had a strong bond. There's no reason they couldn't have been a poster child for positive platonic relationships between boys and girls, while also having relationships alongside that. For a while, I thought that's where the series was heading, but alas, it's not what happened. If anything, it was predictable and lame. Toffee was done dirty. He never came back in any meaningful way. Ludo was absolutely pointless after he was thrown back into the portal a second time. I thought he was building up to a place of finding his confidence and leading the monsters along with the humans and this attempt to fight back against the prejudiced people of Muni. But no! He didn't do anything! What was the point? Instead, at the end, we got Mina. That's the main bad guy here at the end? Her? This side character who's kooky and not really interesting at all? What a letdown. And also, the writers took the coward's way out with Moon Butterfly. This entire time, I thought it would be revealed that she was the antagonist of the show. And the show kind of implied that here and there, with even Star going up against her mother at times. And at the end, she was complicit with Mina. She was the one who powered up the suits. She's juicing up an army, and then she's like betrayed and is like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. That was a mistake. And then she was forgiven like she was a villain from My Little Pony. What? The actions, responsibility, consequences, where are they? Lame. I expected so much more. And that really is the problem here. The show had so much happening, so many wonderful characters, and mysteries, and potential, and twists, and turns, and world building, only for it to conclude in a very lackluster way. I was so hyped during season 1 and 2, and parts of 3, but then it all began to fall apart by the end. According to some people, they think that the continuity director leaving the show was the problem here, that Wendy was the real MVP when it came to keeping Star Versus on the tracks. That her departing the series is what made everything become undone. That's just a theory though, so, take it for what it's worth. There was also this revealing AMA from Darren plus some of the other higher-ups from the show on Reddit. One question on the AMA was, quote, why did they decide to make an open ending with the possibility of closing it with another story, and at the same time throwing away all the work or history that was behind? Darren answered with, quote, my goal was to create a satisfying ending that still left room for more. I feel like it's in the DNA of the universe to solve one problem, but create another. That's Star Butterfly. I know it may not have been satisfying for everyone, but I hope it inspires a lot of fan fiction and drawings. I didn't want to solve everything and leave the fans with nothing to play with. Plus, if I ever got to do more with Star, I want something to play with. End quote. She also said during the AMA, quote, I was very lucky to get 4 seasons. For a variety of very boring reasons, most animated shows for kids only get about 2 or 3 max. So I feel very lucky I got to do 4 on Star. When our 4th season got approved, I knew that would most likely be the end, just because of the rarity of having a 4th season. So I wrote an ending. I was really happy with the ending. I know a lot of fans thought it felt rushed, but I think that just means you want more. I would love to do more with Star someday. End quote. After finishing the finale and the series, I was speculating why the series ended the way it did. Was this a hasty conclusion per Disney's order to wrap things up? Or is this the actual vision of the showrunners? Well, it turns out that it's the latter of the two, which just really sucks. It's so much easier to throw a company under the bus for corporate nonsense, which is why I'm very understanding of the finale for the original run of Steven Universe. But it seems that Darren wanted this to be the finale, that it was always intended for Star and Marco to be together, that the world fusing at the end was a way to keep things open-ended in case Star Versus ever came back. Yeah, that was a very risky decision for a finale that had so much writing on it. Like, I do give credit to Darren and her team for doing something as bold as destroying magic. But there are far too many consequences from said action that really undermines Star's character and growth as a person, plus it erases the entire setting of the show. It was reckless, it was dismissive, and for many people, insulting. And I do wonder if Darren made this decision in order to keep Star alive as far as fans go, to keep rolling with it. But if anything, it might have backfired.
Nina, this is madness!
No, Moon! This is justice!
So overall, Star Versus was a fantastic show until it wasn't. But I wouldn't say it was a bad show by any means. If anything, it proves how much people loved the series, and for good reason too. From its vibrant animation, to its fun characters, to even its story, regardless of its flaws. Star Versus carries the curse of being too good, where there was so much writing on its conclusion that not sticking the landing did retroactive damage to the overall enjoyment of the series for most people. Now, for me, I would not count myself in that lot. I feel that I can still watch the show and enjoy it up to a point, which is like the exact same thing I do for Game of Thrones, to which has a much worse conclusion by a long shot. Look, I saw some folks saying that the Star Versus finale was worse than Game of Thrones. No, not even in the same ballpark. You are objectively wrong if you think that. There are lukewarm and lackluster finales for plenty of good shows. Samurai Jack, with its reboot, had a lackluster finale. Same with Primal, and I love that show. I would include Star Versus in that bracket of content. Great shows with, "Aw, that kind of sucks" finales. But it's the fact that the show was great to begin with that stings the most. That's why it sucks. Like I said, Samurai Jack, Primal, Star Versus. I feel like a parent who has a kid who's like getting A+ all semester, but then just gets an F on their final exam. I'm like, Star, come on, you could have aced this. You were so close. But again, I would still count Star Versus as one of the best shows to come from Disney, right up there with Gravity Falls and Owl House. Now, is it perfect? No. Was it ruined in a way? Yeah, I would say so. But not nearly as bad as what folks make it out to be. And hey, maybe we might see a reboot for it in the future, and folks who did not like the finale of the series will see the show redeem itself. Again, it was a very successful series, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. Unless that realm is magical. Then it's dead. Like these magical puppies.
I'm gonna destroy the magic.